Today's video, we're going to talk about how to hire a generalist marketing agency the right way. And it's not for everybody to go along with that. If you are a certain type of business that's super niche, I wouldn't even recommend going the route of a generalist marketing agency, at least unless you're going to hire specialists on top of that generalist marketing agency as well, specifically for managing ads. And I'm not saying that just because I manage ads, it's because managing ads and getting a profitable multi-million dollar a year ad account scaling for your business on autopilot like that, predictably, is one of the hardest things that you have to do in your business. And generally speaking, when you're going up against other ad experts that just do nothing but that all day, it's hard to compete anymore in today's environment. For that matter, some of you guys can use the generalist firm. You can use their own internal ad management resources and do good. I'm going to talk about how to actually, if you fit that mold, first of all, but also how to find that agency that's actually worth a damn, given that 9 out of 10 agencies aren't very good. They just make money by taking your money and using it to find the next client, having cheap people do the work, and you don't get anywhere. Ultimately, there's a way to be able to spot if they really know what they're doing or not that I'm going to give you in this video as well. So with that said, before I get into the content, if you do not know who I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge our clients management fees until we can get them a certain minimum lift in the profitability, basically in excess of the management fee that we charge. We are the only agency out there doing anything like this, which should tell you something about the quality of the information on this particular video and channel. So with that said, getting into the content. People like hiring, of course, generalist marketing agencies because it's easy. I get it. Nobody wants to deal with 15 million specialists in their business and have to juggle all those relationships and whatever. But in a lot of markets, you're just not going to get anywhere with that generalist agency. So for your convenience of having to manage one person and get one report that says everything that's going on, and when you got a problem with your Google My Business or business profile, you actually fire off an email to the same person and say, fix it, versus not knowing who to ask for that. That's really, really nice. I have to admit, or should I say the idea of it's really nice. If you're in a market with not much competition, you can get by with that. Why? Because people you work with don't have to be a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 in terms of skill level to make money. More competition you have, better agency it's going to take to actually make money, ultimately. And for that matter, though, if there's 10 agencies to hire and you think you got moderate competition, you're probably still not going to make money with a 5 out of 10 in terms of skill level. Because the reality is the first 4 are total garbage that it won't do anything for you whatsoever. So you got to be at least a 7 because people got internal marketing departments. You got guys starting businesses that know how to manage ads themselves, work on it themselves. So just like with an average competition market, you got to have a 7 out of 10 just to make any money. And if you're in a highly competitive market, forget about it if you're not working with somebody that's a 9 out of 10. You're just going to spin your wheels, practically speaking. So for that matter, you got to understand how to score and know who you're working with. You got to put your money where your mouth is, but it doesn't do any good just hiring the most expensive agency either, because there's a lot of people that charge a lot and still aren't very good. You got to have more than, just going on the price alone. And I know that because I've been doing this for over a decade. I see agencies work, expensive ones, cheap ones. The general thing is if it's too cheap, it's almost guaranteed to be a scam. If you're paying $500 a month, forget about it. But you could be paying $5,000 a month and still get scammed. The price alone isn't a tell-all, if you will. In reality, you get a master of communication with a generalist agency, but a non-master of the craft itself, which at the end of the day, it's pointless, if you will. What good is a nice, friendly guy who you'd like to go out and have a beer with and is your best bud and can tell you everything you need to know and answer emails within 30 seconds, whatever, assuming that was possible, when the people doing the work at the end of the day at that agency suck. And they're gonna suck if they don't have at least the strategist 10 plus years of experience, online marketing, and if you're gonna have a manager ads, managing ads itself. Unless they're specialists in your niche market where they're just copying and pasting the strategy, which could be a thing. But generally speaking, what most agencies are doing, which is why I said 9 out of 10 really aren't that great, is they're hiring people that have 1 or 2 or 3 years of experience, marketing experience, experience, and they're not training them basically at all. And they're saying, okay, here you go. Here's your accounts to manage. And they're learning it as they go. What I know today after doing online marketing for 20 years compared to what I knew after 3 years of doing it is literally 3% of what I know now. It's just not hardly anything. The reason why agencies hire the crappy, non-experienced people is because it's too hard and too expensive to hire the good ones. For me at our agency to hire a 15-year experienced ad strategist, one that actually gets results and isn't just looking for a job because the other agency they hired can't deal with them or can't get results there, the salary just to pay them is going to be $200,000 a year. So that's $100 an hour. Then I've got to mark his hours up 3x because at an agency you got to do that to make money because there's a lot of overhead. Now I've got to charge our clients $300 an hour in order to bill their hours out, and you're paying $5,000 a month. And you want to be able to work with this person and they have time to work on your account. What? They're going to work on it and then because there's still got to be other time put into buying your backlinks and this and this. So what? You're going to have the strategist look at your stuff for 2 hours a month? I mean, unless you're going to be paying $10,000 a month plus, it's going to be tough to find somebody who has the experience you need and the time to put in. I mean, this is not easy. Most people think marketing is easy. If it were easy, people that know what they're doing wouldn't be getting paid $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year to do what they're doing. And hiring an agency because you can't afford $200,000, $300,000 a year for an internal employee doesn't fix the situation. It actually makes it worse because the agency has to triple the pay of what the salary of that person is. But the greater thing with all this is that ultimately at an marketing agency, even if you're paying $5,000 a month, it's rarely going to get you results in and itself because they got to spend that money across SEO, PPC, social media ads, social media organic, manage your Google profile. And so ultimately when you split it all up, then you're basically only paying, $1,000 a month to manage your PPC. And that's not enough. You need to spend several thousand on just the PPC alone. But people don't want to spend 10, 15, 20 grand a month for an agency. They hire the $5,000 a month agency because it's affordable. Well, and they don't hire the specialist because they don't want to pay $2,500 to a PPC guy and $2,500 for a social media guy. They want to hire one marketing agency that does it all, and they say, oh, sure, we'll manage your PPC. We'll throw it in and we'll do this. The reality is you have to get realistic. They're going to be taking your money and splitting it up and putting very little time on your ads, very little time on your SEO because that's all there's resources to do. And to do SEO, you're not going to get results with $500 a month unless you're in a low competition market locally, generally speaking. PPC wise, same thing. Like if you do something with super low competition, maybe they can get by with $500 a month. But anything competitive, it's not going to cut the mustard here. Now, that said, in terms of generalist marketing agencies, when it does make sense to hire a generalist marketing agency is when they specialize in a niche. So instead of having to spend raw time doing what they need to do for you, which there's always going to be, wild cards that come up, they got to fix those issues, managing your reviews, stuff like that. But if they're in a niche, if they specialize in, let's say, HVAC and you're an HVAC company, what you will get working with them is something very valuable, which is they know all the hooks and offers that work good for an HVAC company. So they will know how to run a TV ad, a YouTube ad, and a Facebook ad for the HVAC space because they figured it out for another HVAC company and they can use it for you. Okay? That would be the main value there. Otherwise, anybody can manage your Google business profile. They don't need a specialist for that. Anybody can manage your reviews. Anybody can post social media content for you. These offers are the main value when working with that generalist firm that specializes in your area of business or niche, if you will. Because they can set up a Facebook campaign, turn it on, and it'll work like that because they know exactly what they need to say. That's the main situation where I would recommend hiring a generalist. That is if they're a specialist in your niche itself, okay? Now, that said, I would hire a dedicated PPC agency that manages your search ads. Out of the specialist agencies that I've seen, it's so competitive nowadays, it's extremely hard to make money. If you're in a market where there's niche marketing companies that just deal with your niche, you're also in a niche market where Google search ads is hard as hell to get working and super cutthroat and everything else. Those specialist agencies may know about your industry. They don't know about the latest and greatest and cutting edge, this and that when it comes to search ads. You have to be dealing with 50 or 100 different search ads accounts that you're managing on any given point and day that you only focus on that to really know how to crush everybody else on Google search ads. I know because I deal with it every day. I know it actually takes. So in that situation, if you were in a market that's big enough where I can hire a niche specialist, I'm going to hire that specialist. I'm going to have just a person manages your search ads because it's so damn hard to get that to work and not waste tons of your money. And I'd work with them together because they know essentially how to do SEO for your industry, how to manage. Pretty much everything else can be handled by them adequately well, if you will. Except for if I'm in the position where I'm doing more than $5 million a year in sales revenue, that's the time I would also break off and hire a specialist in SEO by itself. If I'm going to throw $5,000 a month at SEO, I'm going to have a specialist who really knows nothing but SEO. And the fact that I have niche expertise in SEO it's not going to make up for the fact. It's not going to beat somebody who just does SEO all day and that's all they do at their agency with 100 accounts and they know it backwards and forwards and the latest and greatest of what's working at the given time. Because that's the crux of it, right? Google's always changing. Unless you have 50 accounts that you're responsible in getting the rankings for and the leading edge of it all the time, you really don't know what you're doing in terms of getting results with SEO. And the search ads are the same way. With the Facebook, as long as you find a good offer that works, you don't have to be an ad expert. It's the offer that makes it up. And the same thing with the TV ads, same thing with the radio ads and the rest of it. So if I was going to hire a generalist agency and there's niche specialists that I could hire, yes, I would hire them, but I would also ask, do you have already working offers for Facebook, TV, radio, billboards that you know are effective in this space already that you could point to with another client that's already working and tell me what type of numbers it gets. So I can, and then if they give me that and I can tap into that, I'm sold all day long. So beyond that, to know you have a good agency, there's a couple main things I could distill everything down to for you to go over for yourself to know the generalist agency that you are going to go with, is it worth your time or not? Other than what I just said about specialists and asking if they have ad creative that already works on the main non-search engine related platforms. Before I talk about that though, if you do want to break off your PPC to the top PPC agency, obviously strongly consider our agency given that we guarantee your results. And I've got 20 years of Google Ads experience myself. So you're not going to find somebody at another agency that's going to have more experience than me. I promise you that. It's not even been around. It's been around 23 years altogether. And even if you do find somebody ultimately working at the agency, they're not going to work with you direct. They're going to give you an account manager. And then you're going to play this game of telephone between you and the account manager and the strategist, which we don't do at our agency itself. And you're going to work with me direct and the guy that actually has all the knowledge. You're not going to find that with other agencies, I promise you. For that matter, reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com if you're interested in at least having a conversation with me about it. I can tell you what we can guarantee and how we would actually guarantee it in terms of strategy. We also sell ad templates. If we've already worked in your niche market, I talked about, ultimately specialist agencies, as it comes to ad management, if we've already worked in a niche market and we have a hook that works, we can sell you the winning hook/ad copy that works, the landing pages, the campaign templates, and so forth that work, and you could copy paste that into your ad account. If you want to work by yourself or with an agency or whatever, we sell those templates as well, and we've worked in over 100 different niche markets in the last over a decade of running this agency, so chances are quite high we've already got the results you're looking for and worked in your market already, of which we can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front. I also do offer direct coaching and consulting with different guys that reach out from the channel as well, in that if you're just stuck where you're at, you can't figure out what the hell to do to get your revenue to start scaling up again or just make your ads profitable. In a 30-minute coaching session, I can pretty much spot it because I've experienced doing exactly this all day long and not just looking at the ads, which most guys are just looking at the ads. It's like looking through a straw. I'm looking at the whole business. What's the actual issue? Is it the ad? Is it the tracking? Is it the pricing? Is it the sales process? Is it the website? Whatever it is. And then fixing that. I'm excellent at figuring out where those bottlenecks are. So if you're interested in that, let me know. You can reach out to me at my agency at guaranteedppc.com as well. So for that matter, the two main things you have to know you have a good generalist agency that's not going to lose you money. It's actually going to increase your revenue profitably so you can scale your company. That's the ultimate goal here. It's not to maintain anything itself, because if all you're trying to do is maintain, I get some internal person and that's good enough. First of all, you want to know that you could get references from companies that they already work with that are bigger than you. Not hugely bigger than you, but slightly bigger than you. Because what you're trying to do is to get to be bigger, right? So if you're doing $1 million a year, I want to see that the other companies they say they work with are right around 5-10 million, because they know how to get a company from $1 million to 5-10 million. Yeah, that's their sweet spot. Because there's a big difference between getting a company from $1 million to 10 million and 10 million and 100 million. It's totally whole different things ultimately at the end of the day in terms of the grand scope of everything you have to manage and so forth. And it's different to go from 100,000 to $1 million as well. So I would want to see that they work with companies about my size, but of course bigger, so they have that experience taking a guy from my size to 10x. That's number one. Then number two, I would want to see that those references know their numbers, okay? So there's a lot of going on out there in terms of the marketing and agency world. Jokes out there in the inner circles of the agency world. What people basically want more than anything is a clueless client who doesn't know how to track ROI on anything, who ultimately, gets impressed by dumb, shiny things like, hey, look how cool this logo looks. Isn't it cool? Or don't you like the look of this website? And look how many clicks we got. And you're a mark, basically. You're a mark, you're getting sold, a clueless person doing your ad strategy and marketing strategy that doesn't know their ass from a hole in the wall. And you end up getting scammed as a result of it by you not being informed on how to actually tell not only how your ads and everything are working, but the agency, their clients, and when they say they get them results, that they actually are getting profitable results. They're not just maintaining their reviews. They're not maintaining blah, blah, blah. They actually know how to take a company at X number of dollars of revenue, scaling up to another X dollars of revenue, and do it by means of taking the marketing budget you have, reallocating it to what's working, taking from the parts that aren't working to the parts that are, getting them to the next stage of revenue, then doing that again and again, and walking a company's sales up at a certain ROI that's profitable to the company, surely and slowly, and getting year-over-year gains repetitively and predictably. That's what you're hiring this company for, not just to maintain everything. And if you are looking to maintain, by the way, if you don't care to be bigger, your competition does, and it's only a matter of time before they crush you, either growing or dying in business. Sorry to tell you, but that's just the way that it is. Unless you're in a tiny market or something like that, then maybe, okay, fine, you could make that argument. But for all practical purposes, you need an agency that speaks your language. You're trying to grow the revenue at a profitable rate, and you need to be able to define that in terms of the numbers, and they got to be working off the same definitions as you, so you know if they're doing it right or not. So after 6 or 12 months, if they are not getting results, you know it and know when to walk away. And you tell them up front that's what you're looking for. We're looking for a 25% growth in revenue over the next year. Can you do it? Okay, here's how we're measuring it. 12 months from now, did it happen or did it not? That's what position you need to be in. If you're going to be like the companies that are able to grow, they're able to track their numbers very, very well, at least once you're getting over 7 figures a year itself. So with that said, you want to, going back to what I was saying about references here, you want to actually get references, and you want to be able to know that when you talk to the references, you ask them to verify, are they tracking your metrics well? Do you know what your cost per opportunity is? Do you know what your return on investment on ad spend is or not? And if they say, I don't know, well, then you've got a shit agency, and find one where their clients know that, and that's a part of their formula, that they're not just even asking client, they're not waiting for the client to tell them, hey, I want to know what my return on our marketing spend here. They're proactively telling them what the return is, so they're forced to basically know it itself. With that said, you want to know, so with this, basically, you want them to know how to tell you how profitable what they are doing is. And that's going to be either by telling you how many qualified leads you got, not just any leads, but qualified leads, ones that are verified to be actually good quality, because it's easy to bring a bunch of shit leads in. Either that, or how much revenue as a ratio of revenue to ad spend your marketing is pulling in. One or the other. And a way to be able to see it month over month and chart it out over time. You want to know that your agency can do that, and then you, like I was mentioning before, you want to know that the people they refer you to are also saying they're helping them track those metrics. And you're not asking them what their numbers are, because that's a move to ask them how profitable they are, because you don't do that. You ask them, hey, are they allowing you and helping you to track your return on investment on an ongoing basis well. You want to hear them say yes, because that means the other company they're working for, if it weren't working, they would fire them because they would know that it's not working. A lot of agencies get by with non-working marketing that's not profitable because they know their clients don't know it's not working. That's their favorite client, honestly. You at least want the other people they work with that they refer you to know that it's profitable because they're giving them the KPIs to measure it that correlate or lined up with profitability in their business from their marketing spend, if you will. So in summary, you want references that are bigger than you or at the level you want to get to. They're not huge companies because somebody that's huge can get by doing stuff that's not going to be applicable to you, using branded advertising versus what they call direct response marketing advertising, where you got to get a direct response from your ad in real time to make a return so you can then dump it back into more advertising or marketing efforts, but not too small because the stuff you do for a tiny company, is totally different as well. It's not going to apply to you. And references that can state that, hey, we know we're making great money because they're giving us reports that say how much we're making, either directly or indirectly through maybe even tracking qualified leads, cost per qualified lead. And then you've got an agency that's focused actually on results, because a lot of agencies are going to say they're results focused, data driven. At the end of the day, they still don't give the metrics where the rubber meets the road for the client, so they know how well it's working. And they do it deliberately, or maybe it's on accident, but either way, it shows you either they're incompetent or worse, they're trying to mislead you. So as you talk to them in a sales conversation, you ask them, how am I going to know this is working? And they start saying, well, we give you reports that show clicks and impressions and how much work we did the last month. That's red flag. They start talking about, hey, we're going to give you an idea of how much it's working by charting out revenue, by tracking qualified leads. Then you got one that actually means business and are focused on what actually matters to you, the business owner or manager at the company that is responsible for raising the profitability of the company. And then you also want to back it up with checking the references and make sure they've been in position to know how well it's working for them, so that you're not just asking them to do this for the first time. Because a company, trust me, an agency that gets results like our agency, we're not trying to hide the results from the client, because that's what gets the client to be sticky here at our agency. So why the hell would we not want them to have this data? The only reason why you wouldn't have them to do the data is because they're hiding something, or they're just incompetent. They don't understand the client's got to make money. And there's so many of these agencies, trust me. They bank on companies and owners of companies not wanting to overcomplicate things and be confrontational. And they'll just go along to get along, so to say, if you will. But that's not what you want. I mean, yes, you could be a nice guy and everything, assuming they get you real numbers to work with. Then everything is all good. And for that matter, I don't know, it makes things so simple when you got the right data. It's either the report shows you're making money or it doesn't, really. And that's at the end of the day, what you have. And for that matter, yes, things don't happen overnight. It can often take a whole year to even at a company get a 20 to 30% revenue growth. But you at least want to see it charted out on these main key performance indicators that you're tracking, that the things are getting better quarter over quarter, even if it's slightly, so that at the end of the year, you know what you paid for. Ideally, you would have a specialist agency that you can hire that's a specialist in your area of business, like dentistry, or even a sub niche like Invisalign within dentistry, and they talk your language. They reference things like profit and cost per qualified lead and closing rates and those kind of things. At our agency, and I'm not trying to turn this into a pitch here, but at our agency, if you reach out to us, we're actually mapping out and doing an 8-quarter projection with the client before we even begin working with them, because we want them to know what to expect so that they're not going to expect the world from us and we waste our time because we're looking for a long-term client. But we also want to know, what is it going to take to be profitable, so we know what we're shooting for. Ultimately, how many leads or how much sales revenue do we need to bring in to offset all our expenses and still be profitable at the end of the day? Most agencies, if not I'd say 98% of agencies don't do anything like that because they're, lazy or don't want the client to expect too much when they don't do very good work. And as a result of that, ultimately, they never hit profitability for the client because they don't even know what the hell to focus on. And people will say that you deal with, oh, we can't possibly track all that. No, you could track all this. I don't care how you're doing business, it's trackable. You could have a HVAC company and you could track phone calls and form fills coming in, and then you could document those leads, compare it to your sales that you have coming in, to the leads that came in, find the lead that originated the sale, and you would know how many qualified leads you got for your money and how much sales revenue you got for your money. You could have a damn brick and mortar furniture furniture store or a mattress store, and you could track how much you're making, because you could track when somebody comes into the store, and you could have a mechanism like a 10% off manufacturers or a 10% like discount for people who fill out a form on your website at the time of checkout, like we've done before, which completes a conversion loop on the back end for the online marketing that you're doing. So when somebody clicks on an ad and goes to your web landing page and then goes to your store, when they buy in the store, they go to a web page to fill out a form to get an extra 10% off. That triggers your ad account, and now you know how many sales you got from your ad account. Gave a damn about tracking what matters so that the client knows it's working. But more importantly for us, why we're doing it is because we want the ads to do better. Because you can't make your ads better if you don't have the right data that shows you what's profitable, what's not, if you will. So don't give me any of this that you can't track it, so therefore you're not going to track it. If they say that, just be happy they did that favor for you right up front, so you can move on to the next company and interview them. And you may have to interview 10, 20 companies before you even find one who talks like I talk, who's focused on revenue and profit, not clicks and how many hours of work we put in, which is totally irrelevant. I don't care if somebody works 30 freaking minutes a month for one of the companies I also own in the e-commerce space, but I can get a 10,000% return. I don't give a shit. And I don't even care how they did it. As long as you can show me a report that shows I got that return, I won't bother you one time in a year. And that's how you got to think when it comes to hiring this generalist marketing agency. If you're going to do it and you want less points of contact that can help you just manage everything, and when something happens, you know they got it covered, and potentially you have 4 or 5 agencies that do different things, and something happens that falls into between the cracks between what the 5 do, and then you got to end up doing this yourself, which is another point of anxiety for companies, why they hire generalist agencies. But for that matter, you're better off, generally speaking, do the right research ahead of time so you don't waste your money. And even though it may be hard to find the right agency that will do what I mentioned, it's worth it in the end. And then hire a PPC expert on top of it, like I said, because generally, I don't care how good the generalist agency is, they suck at PPC for that matter, or specifically Google search ads. PPC technically involves or is also includes social ads and banner ads and all this stuff, because you're paying per click. That's what PPC stands for, pay per click. At the end of the day, you still need somebody that can do search ads that just specializes in nothing but that to really do well with that. General agency that specializes in the niche of business that you're in. And then for that matter, or you could just, I will say the other thing to do is to know, you will also do a lot better hiring the agency when you know certain things about marketing. These generalist agencies suck. They love it when they get a client that's clueless. It's like when a girl goes to a mechanic shop and she says there's something wrong with her car. She's going to get completely screwed. It's like the perfect opportunity to make money. You're dealing with somebody, the blinker fluid's out. It's doing $10,000. Okay. Don't be that person when it comes to your marketing. They'll be able to tell how much you know, even if you pretend like you know a lot. You could see straight through it, study how this stuff works. So at least you know on a basic level, if you don't have to know all the details, but you got to know what specifically works and what doesn't to really, really be well off when hiring a marketing agency. And you can get all that on this channel, because I legitimately, unlike what you're going to find elsewhere on YouTube, spend 40 hours a week doing ad strategy at our firm, and I tell you what's working, what's not working on this channel. I'm not, basically like these other guys trying to make money off of advertising and talking about what other people say and speculating on things. It's actual stuff I see in my day job. So you should subscribe to this channel as a result, because you're not going to find it elsewhere on this platform, as well as online for that matter. You can check my blog out at my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog, where I've got step-by-step instructions to use the strategies we're using at our firm to guarantee results for our clients as well. If you have any questions about anything I've covered here, by the way, or even if you disagree with anything I said, because I may have pissed some of you guys off watching this, I'm never admitting that I'm always right. I'm just telling you what I've seen, what other agencies do that I've came across, what I've seen they do, and telling you what I would recommend as a result. But you can leave me a comment below and I'll get back to you usually within 24 hours. That pretty much goes over what I know about hiring a generalist agency. It can work out for some of you guys some of the time. A generalist agency with no niche experience whatsoever in your industry is going to be probably a pretty crappy agency and won't make you much money. It'll make you a negative ROI, I should say, unless you're in a low competition space. Just know that's the overarching theme of everything I said here. If you need to hire a generalist agency and there's no agencies that specialize in your niche, then you probably are going to need to hire a bunch of just specialist agencies that are the best best at each channel, SEO, PPC, social media, whatever, to really get to where you're competitive in your space and can knock out the guy who's already making millions advertising online in your space, because he ain't, he's already invested millions in his strategy. And so if you're going to knock him off his post, you're going to have to come heavy or not at all. So with that said, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said Google search ads was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.